Hi, I'm here with Mark Costello, a recent graduate of our foundational program of the Resilient Transformation Academy. Mark, I'm very happy to have you here today. Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you as always. And, uh, coming on board with the program has been a big help for me in kind of getting back into balance and into a better state of being.
Yeah, if you would talk a little bit. Well, first of all, what do you do for a living? What is your role? What is your job?
Well, I do sell direct mail advertising in print form, uh, and have done so for coming up on 40 years now. Different companies along the way, but where I am now, I've been for nearly 30 years. And our company was recently acquired. I say recently, 4 years ago. But yeah, I've been doing pretty much the same thing since I've been in my 20s. So it's been a
A lifelong
it's been a
career.
great career. Yeah, it's been very rewarding.
Well, when we met, you had a particular challenge that you were facing, which prompted you to enroll into the program. You want to share a little bit about that challenge that you were facing?
Oh, yeah. As I mentioned before, our company had been uh, uh, acquired some 4 years ago, and I was still struggling with the transition. In the early going, it was very difficult, but like the rest of our staff, we all adapted and kind of got the hang of things. But as time went on, I just felt like it still felt like kind of a fish out of water. Was uncomfortable with some of the things being asked of me, the things that they were trying to have me learn and do, additional products, and I was just feeling very overwhelmed, and that was just affecting my outlook on life, on toward my work, and I was feeling just negative, like a fish out of water, and inadequate and depressed. That's enough. That's enough for starters.
Well, and when we feel that way, that inadequacy, that depress, and fish out of water, it affects us on a physiological level. How was your
Sure does.
sleep? How were you working out? Were you feeling yucky from a well-being standpoint? How was that affecting you mentally and physically?
Good question. I was inactive outside of work. I was uh, unmotivated at work. I was retreating into uh, easy activities, things that weren't really central to my role there, but part of the job. Um, but uh, just sitting in front of the TV, being inactive, not really living life, and sort of retreating, uh, and just feeling depressed and not doing anything uh, positive to alleviate the situation. Just trying to keep my head above water, I guess, would be the way I would describe it.
And I think that you mentioned the way that you were dealing with this in particular, which a lot of people do, is they turn to food for emotional comfort.
Yeah, that was my go-to vice, if you want to call it that. And of course, that doesn't help. Just adds on the pounds, and that's always been a bit of a challenge, personal challenge for me, anyway. So yeah, that didn't help. But I guess it could have been worse in the respect that other vices could have been much more dramatically negative.
A lot of people will take on drinking,
Yeah,
indulge in activities that they regret later,
yeah,
mainly because it makes them feel bad the next day, or they feel guilty about the next day. And so,
yeah,
this
yeah. It just compounds the situation, no doubt.
absolutely.
Yeah,
There's been a study done that emotional eating, 75% of overeating is emotional eating. So when you talk about feeling that depression and that despair, is oftentimes we'll turn towards food to give us that joy and that relief.
yes, I can vouch for that.
Well, I remember when we first started, I gave you a homework assignment when we first started, and I shipped you out your welcome packet. And
Yeah.
that homework assignment may have seemed a little odd at the very beginning of writing out where you were in life. And
Right.
so the skepticism that one often feels at the very beginning is like, why are we doing this? And I'd love for you to share a little bit about what during the program, what was revealed to you as you went through the program and learned the techniques to really center your heart and your mind together and get them in alignment. What was some of the things that were revealed to you as you would go back and look at the writing assignment that you did after you learned the techniques and went, wow, this is where I used to be, and
Yeah.
this is where I am today?
Yeah, the writing assignment really stood out to me when we went back to them later as a group, went back to our own individual writing assignments weeks later. Very eye-opening later than it was in the early going. I was thinking I was putting down on paper and what I felt like was an accurate assessment of myself. And in looking back on it later, it was like, wow, I was really in a negative place. I knew that, I guess, intuitively, because that's part of why I sought you out and got involved with the program. But as I went back and read my own words, it was like, geez, I don't like this guy. And if he were somebody else, I wouldn't be hanging with him, you know? So, but yeah, it was eye-opening. Like I say, it helped me see that the program had been a big help in transforming me. And I think what kind of got me on board was the use of the inner balance and being able to see graphically how performing the exercises, the heart centered breathing, for one, worked. It was for real. And so that kind of got me convinced and on board. And I would feel more positive. I just, doing the heart centered breathing helped me to just be more balanced, I think, like you say, between the heart and the mind. I've always been a mind guy and never a heart guy. I've always sort of, I guess maybe I want to say contained or just tried to be away or stay away from being emotional or having, emotions or showing my emotions, I guess. And more so tried to be logical and think things through and thought that's where all the solutions in life come from. But this was a big education in the power of the heart. I know you've said numerous times the heart has its own magnetic and electrical system and so forth, more powerful than the brain. And it's true. It's true. I really feel it. So putting the two together really puts you in balance. And I think that's what was missing for me is having that balance between the two and being more open to my emotions and how they play a part in making you kind of the whole person.
There might be some people listening to this that are saying, I'm with you. I'm all about the head. It's all about the logic and how am I going to think about things and solve things from here.
Well, I think that's especially true of guys, at least from my own perspective. So yeah, you're right. I think there's probably a lot of people out there that are just like that.
You and I have had lots of conversations specifically around strategies for your sales and new customers. And I can remember several conversations that we had about solving a problem or solving a potential loss of one of your largest clients,
right,
and being resigned to the loss through here, but then being able to access the heart's intuitive intelligence, giving you new ideas, opening up new possibilities. And as we did some role play in the sales aspects of it, there was a whole world that appeared to open up to you
Mhm.
in being able to access that divine intelligence of the heart. And so I'd love to have you share with the audience what happened with your largest account after you came up with some new ideas and new possibilities that you hadn't thought of before.
Yeah, I remember the phone call. I had put a phone call into the client, and was later at an appointment to meet with another client when I got a return call saying, I don't think we're going to be back next year. And I thought, oh, speaking of heart, my heart sunk. And I just kind of, just tried to, not be too upset or indicate any upset with him, and got off the phone with him. And I thought, oh, wow, now what am I going to do? So, yeah, you and I talked about it, and we got into a strategy, I guess, that involved more heart-based approach, and asking, breathing, doing the heart-centered breathing, and asking questions of my heart to try to I remember saying, there being like, you get some revelations by just focusing on your heart and asking your heart for answers. And they kind of bubble up from your subconscious, I think, and reveal themselves. So, but most importantly, I guess it helps you to address and come up with ideas for how to address the situation. At least that's how we, addressed it. And we came up with some good ideas. And then it helped me with the idea of just enlisting help, because I'm used to doing everything up on my own by myself. The old saying, those that can do and those that can't teach, that old saying. I thought, well, I'm the can-do guy, so I can do that. But anyway, enlisted the help of my sales manager and one of our other sales coordinators, and put together a plan and a program. We were able to get a meeting with my contact. I had a nice lunch meeting with him, and then from there we were able to. He was gracious enough to let us in on his call with the whole group of franchisees, and make a presentation, which was aggressive and spot on, and won the day. And I just finished writing the orders today, as a matter of fact, and sending them out. So I just got approval from a number of them back in my email here this afternoon.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Really big shift. Really.
That was a big win.
That's a big win.
Yeah.
I think something that you shared too is that when you got that call, that your heart sank and you felt it, and that was a reaction that most amazing salespeople would have, that reaction when they're getting ready to lose their biggest account.
Right.
And it kind of hits you like the ton of bricks. One of the things that I've noticed in you throughout this program is that when those reactions hit, they're natural. We're human beings. That when they hit, how long, like before doing this and learning the techniques in here, how long do you think you would have stayed in the sadness of that, the worry, the frustration, the anger, versus bouncing really quickly back and being able to come up with a resolution to save the account?
Yeah, it would have probably endured a while longer. Even at that, I probably let it last longer than it should have before I took action. But no doubt about it. I, of course, had been in the program before this even happened. So when I got the call, and I had been feeling fairly positive and good about the whole process of renewing my client base for the next calendar year, more so than I had in past years, just in general. I was feeling, usually I've known in past years it's been more stressful than others, but this year not nearly as much. And I attribute a lot of that to the program, to be honest with you, to help me stay a little bit better emotional balance. And, even if worst came to worst, it's not the end of the world kind of a thing. But more importantly, how do you address something unexpected, or something that when something goes wrong, how do you react? How do you address it? How do you move to change it and make the best of it and improve it? So
would you say that you're more in control of situations now, having the technique to be able to bounce back quickly versus having an outside circumstance or situation be in control of you?
yeah, I would say so. The thing that strikes me about it is, like, when you react to something negatively and you don't bounce back from it, you shut down. You're not as open to ways to alleviate or address the problem when it comes up. You're not as creative thought-wise. But when you're in resilience, you're, when you have heavy emotions, your brain shuts down. But when you're feeling light and resilient, you look for ways to solve the problem. And I think that's exactly what happened. The biggest thing for me, I think, was, or at least the thing I think of most, is just going to get help. And what you said about how my sales manager was going to feel about this, taking this hit as well, gave me a different perspective on it too. But so I went to her, and she's a very positive and can-do person, so she kind of rubs off on me too a little bit, both of you. So we thought of things to do and to take action, and we did, and we got the happy storybook ending.
Congratulations. So Mark, you learned a lot in this program, and it's just been such a pleasure to see you blossom in this, and to see you consciously creating things that you choose to have happen in your life. So how will you take these techniques and use them in your future?
I think the biggest thing is just using them and knowing that you can draw upon them when the need arises. And it's just as simple as dropping into heart-centered breathing, getting in balance, asking your heart the questions that address whatever an issue that may be that you're having, and listening for the answer, and then taking those answers and using them to solve whatever the matter is. If it's an outside problem, if it's a professional issue, if it's a relationship issue, if it's how you're feeling physically, any of those, whatever it might be. So that's how I plan to use the skills, and to have my little inner balance handy to help me keep in touch with exercising or executing the exercises correctly and effectively.
So for some people listening to this, they might think, well, that's a little woo-woo. You ask your heart. Your heart.
It's funny you said it, because I was taking some notes earlier, and my impression of the program was, yeah, this kind of a little new age, but at the same time, I've been exposed to other lots of things, especially with social media, and there's so much on the internet and so forth. But it reminds me of Eastern medicine and Eastern religion, and the chakras and all those sorts of things that we were talking yesterday about. What was it with the medians?
Meridian.
The meridians, I'm sorry, yeah. And all of that. So, I mean, all of that is kind of new to us in the West, but it's old back there, and it's been used effectively for years and years. So you can call something new age here, but it's really old age as far as how long it's been around. So it works. So, I didn't feel a whole lot of resistance to it, but because I was looking for answers, and it's, in that regard, it's been a big help.
So for those that are listening, I'll just ask you this question. As you tune into your heart and you ask for guidance, has your heart ever steered you wrong?
Not yet. I
Okay.
don't anticipate that it will. No, it's been, it's really sort of like opening another door for answers. If it's not behind your mind door, it's behind your heart door. It's the answers are there. It's just um, looking and seeking them and finding them. And really, up until the program, I got involved with it, I didn't know where else to look. I was relying on my mind to do the whole job, and if it failed me, then I was out of luck. But fortunately for me, at least from a professional standpoint, my mind has gotten me through many years. Not without I could have been doing all this with a lot less stress and a lot more enjoyment, maybe perhaps in the past. But hey, better late than never, as the saying goes.
Well, I love that you said that, because I think that really sums it all up. You could have been doing it with a lot less stress and a lot more enjoyment. And so now that you have the step-by-step technique to tap into that enjoyment without stress,
Yeah.
it's probably going to make life a little bit more enjoyable for you into your future.
Yeah. I think it's like anything else. It's not all that difficult, but it does require practice. And over time, practice. It's like being in a sport. After a period of time with continued practice, certain things just become ingrained and automatic. And so, and of course, that just makes the exercise that much easier and easier to do, and to do it any time of day, whenever the need arises or whenever you feel the need. So yeah, I mean, why make life harder than it has to be when you've got the skills and the tools to make life easier.
Yes, very, very well said. And unfortunately, I think many of us do make life harder because of what we say and hear inside the
Yeah.
head. We make up, we've talked a lot about an event will happen, and the event happens, and it's what we make up about the event later that often causes the stress reaction.
Yeah.
So it's our interpretation of it.
I've got a little story to tell. I was at the gym one day, and half of the gym has all the weight equipment. The other half of the gym is an open basketball court, and they have a big tarp hanging between the two to kind of serve as a divider. And I could hear kids over on the other side, as I often do, playing basketball. And I could hear this one little kid. And when he would miss a shot or whatever, he would say, "Oh, I stink." And I thought to myself, I almost wanted to walk over and say, "Hey, you don't stink." And don't say that, because all it does is tell your subconscious that you must not be any good. And that was no good. But he said it a couple times, but then by the time I got finished, he hadn't said it anymore. So maybe somebody else that he was playing with talked to him, and I didn't hear him. But I thought to myself, wow, that's not that's not healthy. Even though he may be doing that. I don't know. It's just I guess expression of frustration, but still, it's like something that you're feeding yourself unhealthy thoughts.
Yes. And oftentimes I think many of us do that just out of habit. And
Right.
I've had a lot of people say, I'm harder on myself than I am on anybody else.
Yeah.
And so part of one of the things that I know that you've shared is that you're able to stop that. You're able to notice when you go into negative, and then stop it in the moment, and then replace that for a completely different outcome of
Yeah.
a situation or a connection that you have with somebody.
Well, that's I think what the program helps you do. It helps you to be in the moment, recognize something when it's happening, be mindful of it, so that you sometimes, in the past, you'd be, I'd be stressed or whatever and wasn't even realizing it, but, my whole body's tightened up, and I catch myself now. I make sure I relax. I still do it, I tense up, but then I catch myself and relax. So, and I can feel it, just like, why am I tensing up like this? So just being able to recognize, and that's what the practice does. It helps you to recognize when you're in a stressful situation. You can shift and replace it with a new attitude and a new outlook, and it can make all the difference in just moving forward and addressing whatever it might be, or just bypassing it to do something else if it has a higher priority.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing your journey. Thank you.
My pleasure.
My hope is that other people will hear this and realize that there is another way. There is another way that's all natural to do, and it's fun, and it just has your life go forward in a whole different way once you learn the step-by-step process.
Well, Julie, I'll simply close by saying that for anyone who may be listening to this video and considering your program, I'll simply say that you have been a terrific instructor and guide in use of and learning about the techniques and using them, and in our group talks, never judgmental, never always helpful for every individual, regardless of where they are at in the process. So kudos to you, and you do a great job.
I appreciate that, Mark. It's been a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.